Hey, everybody, this is Rory McDonald from MacDon and Associates coming to you with the next episode of Tuesdays with Rory, where I have Ray Vernarsky here in the studio. For those of you who know Ray, or maybe you don't know Ray, he is my go-to inspector when it comes to people buying houses here in the state of Michigan. And he's going to kind of share his experience and some of the things that he's seen when it comes to doing inspections throughout Metro Detroit. So happy to have you in, Ray. If you want to, just go ahead and give everybody a little idea of who you are and what you're all about.
Thanks. Good to be here. I'm going into my 31st year of inspecting houses. Inspect all over Southeast Michigan. My career actually started with building the houses, and after a while, your back and your knees start getting a little wobbly. So I went into inspections in 1992 and been doing them ever since. I also have a background in inspecting for lead, appraisals, radon testing. So I kind of cover a lot of different bases.
Yeah, you do a little bit of everything. And I just realized, I think I said your last name wrong when I introduced you. Did I say it?
I think you did.
Vernarsky. Vernarsky, not Verinsky. It's Vernarsky. But no, like I said, world of knowledge, world of experience when it comes to this, which that's actually one of the things that I first wanted to get into with you. How long have you been in the business?
This is my 31st year.
31st year. He's been in the business 31 years. And you've seen a lot of stuff. You've been in houses in Macomb, Oakland County, Wayne County. I mean, where have you not been?
You'd have to get pretty far away.
Yeah. You've been a little bit of everywhere.
Yeah, I really have.
With that being said, one of the things, and I'll hit on this really quick. I see it on a consistent basis of there's new people getting real estate license on a daily basis. There's new people getting insurance license. There's new people getting mortgage license and there's new people who are every single day starting new businesses that have to do with doing home inspections as well. I have them reach out to me all the time. Some of them are incredibly experienced and some of them not so much. And that's obviously it's a give or take situation for anybody who's looking for an inspector out there. But one of the things that I've learned from you, and I'll let you touch on this a little bit more, is just how important the experiences that you've had being in these homes as a builder, as an appraiser, as an inspector, when it comes to taking care of our clients, right? Like you have a ton of background and a ton of history and experience that is setting you up in a position to be able to take your clients, take care of your clients as best as possible. And if you can you speak to that a little bit? Like, for the real estate agent out there who's like, there's a lot of people who are sliding into their DMs on a consistent basis too, who are saying, hey, use me as an inspector, not somebody else, right? Like that's a normal thing. Mm-hmm. What would you say to that person when it comes to them taking care of their clients better? Is it roll with whoever it is that slides into your comments on social media, or is there just something to just taking care of your clients, and that is finding the person with the most experience?
Well, everybody has their first year in business.
Sure.
Some guys are great. Some guys maybe still have a lot to learn. I came from the original home inspection gang, so to speak, back in the early 90s. That's kind of when things were getting their legs. But, on-site experience, as far as actually building the houses, you're in a 1920s house, and I've got a pretty good idea what's behind that wall, where somebody maybe who hasn't been in the field doesn't. Not that makes them a bad inspector. There are lots of courses out there where people can actually learn how to inspect a building without ever lifting a hammer, so to speak. If it were one of my children buying a house and I couldn't do the inspection, I would tell them to look for that kind of experience above anything.
Yeah.
That's where it really is.
Yeah.
Getting your hands dirty.
For sure.
Yeah. For
sure. And to speak to this directly. So a few years ago, I'm going to share this experience, and this is my own experience, selling my house.
Yep, I remember.
Okay. So my wife and I, Holly, we owned a home in Mount Clemens. It was built in 1921 or 22. So we're talking a home that now is over 100 years old. And in getting our inspection done, the way I'll let you explain this first, the chimneys and how they used to build the chimneys back in the day, if you can explain that.
Well, in your particular situation, the chimney comes up from the basement and it pops up into the attic space, and then they have to get it where it's not going to pop right out of the peak of the roof.
Right.
So what they do is they stagger it as they go up.
Yeah.
And it's quite normal in a house that old.
Yeah.
As it was in yours.
It definitely was, because you went into the attic, everybody, and it was straight up going through the rest of the house. And then as soon as you got into the attic, the whole chimney went on an angle, and then it continued going straight up. And it was a pretty steep angle, but we were selling our home. We had an offer accepted on a purchaser. Offer was accepted. We were moving forward with it. Had the inspector come out. He went up into the attic, and I don't think he was at our house longer than 40 minutes. It was very fast. He was in and out. It was quick. And he goes up into the attic, comes back down. My wife and I, we left the house and saw him pull out of the driveway. Like, oh, okay, he's done. Great. We head back. And I get a call from the real estate agent just like, I don't know, hours later. And basically is like, hey, my buyers aren't buying the house anymore because of a significant foundation issue within the home. Basically, they said that the entire foundation of the home had shifted so significantly that the chimney was now on a complete angle. And it just is like, none of this makes any sense, because if the whole home shifted, the chimney would shift with it. You wouldn't have this thing happening on an angle. That is how the home was built. I've seen attics that were built like that, the exact same way. And my first response with this, having known you and having done several inspections with you, with clients of mine, I called you and I said, hey, Ray, help me to understand this. And you actually came over to my house. You walked into the attic and you were like, no, I don't know who the heck this guy was, but no, you don't have to worry about a foundation issue. That is not the problem. Basically, this guy just didn't know houses in the 20s and how they were built.
It's so incredibly hard to believe that an inspector could make that mistake. I mean, that's kind of like inspection 101.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it kind of makes you wonder about the rest of his inspection. And not that I'm slamming inspectors, because I have no intention of doing that. Sure. But he wasn't very well trained. Yeah. That's probably a good way to put it.
I think that's a great way to put it. And part of this too, and this is one of going along with the training aspect of things and the experience side of it. I have learned in my just over 5 years now of doing real estate, of selling real estate, and really making sure I'm taking care of clients on a day-to-day basis. I have learned a ton from you just standing next to you. You know, like it's a very normal thing. I've seen it on actually when we bought our house. This is our experience. I don't even think our real estate agent showed up to the inspection. You know, like that was a normal thing. And who knows? Maybe they had things going on with family and they just couldn't make it. But sitting out in the car and not being a part, not being in the inspection. Reality is there's so much. Me still having done this for 5 years, yes, and knowing a ton in comparison to a lot of other real estate agents, there's still stuff that I don't know. There's still stuff that I need to learn in order to help my clients understand the home that they're buying. And that's one of the things that you've done a really good job of, is really just pulling along new, old, young, seasoned, whatever it is, real estate agents, and pulling them with you and going, hey, let me show you how to find the serial number, to find the date on the furnace. Like those little things that you just have done a really good job of being a trainer, if you will, when it comes to taking care of real estate agents. Curious to know the why. Like, wouldn't it be easier to just do the inspection?
Well, one of my biggest pet peeves, if you want to call it, is realtors, especially new realtors, they need to know their product. They need to know what they're selling. And there's nothing worse than having a first-time home buyer standing outside the house waiting for me to pull up. I pull up and I look up at their roof and it's 40 years old and falling off the house. And I say to them, you guys know you need a new roof, right? And they go, we do. And the realtor goes, they do? Yeah. So before we even get in the house, the deal is shot. Yeah. And nobody's happy, including me. I don't want to see all that wind right out of my client's breath. Just go, oh, you're kidding. Yeah. Because I do know what it takes to get there. It takes a lot of houses to look at. It takes EMD money. It takes time, a lot of time to just have it blow up. Yeah. And if the realtors can identify things like a roof that is obviously bad, I mean, don't expect realtors to be inspectors. Things like that, galvanized steel plumbing. That's a that's a big ticket item to replace. And by now it's ready to be replaced. Fuse panels instead of circuit breakers, knob and tube wiring. That's a biggie. So it's all equipment that's just aged. It's just not even used anymore.
Yeah.
So if they can identify that stuff before I get there, they can, one, give their customers a heads up that, hey, he's going to call this out. Or the customer maybe goes, I don't want to put $5,000 in my plumbing system. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's why I try to do it, because I don't like the deals blowing up in everybody's face.
Yeah. Yep. Which makes total sense. So just for those of you out there who don't know, right now, the average number of homes that any purchaser goes and looks at, regardless of the price point that you're in, is in the ballpark of 65 houses that you walk in and do showings in before you actually find the one that you decide that you want to purchase and you may have an offer accepted on that home. So now every home you go in, give or take, like low end 15 minutes, but more like 20. So you're going in 60 houses for 20 minutes each home. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of energy. That's a lot of effort. That's a lot of emotion behind all of it, and thinking about where your child is going to sleep. Like, there's a lot that goes into that.
For sure.
And then to just get kicked in the face with, oh, by the way, the roof, it's the reason why Ray is so focused when it comes to making sure the real estate agent that he's coaching up and bringing along, or any inspector, I'm sure, that reaches out to you too, why it's so imperative that they understand the product that they're selling. And to touch on this a little bit more, average for Macomb County right now is sitting at about $225,000 for the average sale of a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath home. Okay. I've seen a lot of companies become so hyper focused on the product, but only focusing on the big ticket, sexy products. You know what I mean? Like, well, crown molding, knotty pine, extra size cabinets and all this stuff. But like, they forget the idea of like, okay, how old is this roof? Or, hey, that's a block foundation versus a poured foundation. Or, hey, you're on a crawl and the crawl is not insulated. That's a huge deal. Like, all these things that are considered little because they're not crown moldings and knotty pine, right?
Yep. And
they get thrown to the wayside, and they're not trained on to real estate agents. But that's the customer that they're going to be working with. Does that make sense? Like,
it's also the bill they're going to be paying.
yeah. It's true. It's true. So that's the thing that I just noticed a ton when it comes to the real estate market, is focusing on the products and the features of a home that your client is actually going to be purchasing. Every home has a foundation. Yeah. Every home has a roof, regardless if it's cedar, crazy old cedar roof, if it's asphalt, or if it's metal. Like, they all have a roof. And so understanding the product of what it is that every home you walk in is going to have, you need to know it. It's important.
Well, you have to peel back the cosmetics.
Yeah.
For the most part, all that stuff. A lot of flip homes. There's terrible flippers out there. I can't even soften that.
Yeah.
Where they just make everything look really pretty on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And, the buyers walk in, the realtors walk in, they get sucked into it. Oh, look how great everything looks. And then I come in and I don't even see that stuff. And that's when the trouble begins.
Yeah.
Because you start peeling that back, and, then they really see what they're buying.
Yeah, for sure. I've seen that on a consistent basis. We've walked into them, lipstick on a pig.
Absolutely.
It's typically what it is. You polish the turd up either way you want. It's still a turd,
Yeah, we have another saying for it, but I can't say that on this.
Yeah, that's good. My grandma listens to this, so she doesn't need to hear that. But no, I think that's huge, and that's super important. The other thing that I wanted to say to you, and I've experienced with this with clients, and I know you have too, because I've reached out to you after purchasing my home too, and asking just questions. Your availability extends, if you will, past the inspection, which I think is just, it is so cool. It's not anything that I've seen a lot of people do. And it's part of the reason why I partner with you as many times as I possibly can when it comes to taking care of clients, because I know that I am only as strong as the team behind me. I'm only as strong as the inspector. I'm only as strong as the loan officer. I'm only as strong as, go down the list of all these different things. Right. So to know that I have in my corner an inspector that, hey, I have a question about my roof. The shingle came off. What do I need to do? You have answered those phone calls. You have answered those things. Not everybody does that. Why is it that Ray Vernarsky, am I saying that right? Ray Vernarsky goes out of his way, even after he's been paid, after the inspection is completed, after the person has purchased the home? Heck, it could be years down the road, and you're still answering the phone. You're still answering those questions for people. Why is that?
I guess in a nutshell, I care about my customers, especially the first-time buyers. They kind of hold a special place in my heart, and if I can be of help to them down the road, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, and I do get a lot of calls, a lot of FaceTimes, things like that, and I'm more than happy to pass it on. And from a selfish point of view, it's good customer service.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll tell their friends who are buying a house. So that kind of helps that way too.
Yeah, definitely. To give you a quick idea on this too. So I remember, gosh, when was it? Must have been, it was years ago, maybe a year ago. I'll say a year ago. I was showing a client a home in Mount Clemens. I walked down to the basement and I looked at the wall and I just was like, this looks funky. Something looks weird. Immediately jumped on FaceTime with you at the showing. There were other people. This was a busy house. There were other people upstairs. They were walking around the house. There were people coming down to the basement where we were located. I jumped on FaceTime and I started FaceTiming you going, hey, Ray, what is going on here? What am I seeing? I'm going to take pictures. I'm going to send it to you because I don't even want this guy pursuing this house if there's an issue. And you answered all my questions. You got on the phone. And there's not even a pay in that for you, right? Like you're not making anything out of the fact that I just got you out of doing an inspection because this house is falling apart, right? Like you said, no, I'm going to do what's right by the customer. I'm going to put my foot down and I'm going to do the right thing, which I want to commend you for. That's a huge deal. And not everybody does that.
Again, customer service. I don't want an inspection to blow up on a customer. And if the realtor, if they're somewhat knowledgeable, they can really avoid a lot of pitfalls like that.
Yeah.
And like I said, I just don't like blowing up inspections and having people go home unhappy. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. Customer service, man. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. No, for sure. So anybody out there who is interested in sitting down with you, potentially grabbing a cup of coffee, let's say a real estate agent out there who's like, hey, you know, I've heard a lot of the things you said. I don't have a designated inspector that I go to. I'd love to just hear more and just kind of get to know you a little bit more. How much I've had your phone kind of going across the screen here a little bit too, so people can call you that way. Is that the best way to get a hold of you?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. So for anybody out there, it's 248-659-7180, and you can get a hold of Ray, or you can reach out to me. I'd be happy to put you in contact with him as well. But
and just a heads up, during my home inspections, I don't answer my phone. I like to give all my attention to my clients. Yeah. So if I don't answer, leave me a message and I will definitely get back with you.
Yeah. Any texts too.
Yep. I text too.
Any text too. Awesome. Ray, thank you so much. I'm so thankful you could come into the studio today, being part of the podcast. I know it was short notice.
Well, thanks for having me in.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you guys out there who have listened to today's episode of Tuesdays with Rory. Super thankful for you guys. And we'll catch you next time. Have a blessed day.